Mr. Chairman, we are streaming live and recording. You may begin when you're ready.
How are you?
Good morning, friends. Welcome to the April 2026 TAC meeting here at Metro Plan Orlando. Members are reminded that these meetings are in person for quorum requirements. Members attending online may not vote, but may comment and participate in any discussion. To participate virtually, please use the raise hand feature. All right, there are 2 public comment points in this meeting. Any speakers in person are welcome to fill out a comment card by the door and give those to Rachel in order to speak. I don't have any quips or Pokemon jokes for you guys today, so I'm gonna turn it over to Slade for the agenda review.
All right. Thank you, Miles. Good morning, everyone. We have no changes to our agenda today, but do have several announcements. First, wanted to tell you about the next installment in our Vision Zero Safety Speaker Series. This session will be held virtually on Wednesday, May 20th at noon, and we'll be talking distracted driving. So please register or tune in on the day of. Next, wanted to share some updates on the Safe Streets for All SS4A program. As we announced at our last meeting, the Notice of Funding Opportunity, NOFO, for the 2026 SS4A program is now open, with applications due on May 26th. If your agency is planning to submit an application this time around, please, if you are planning to submit, if anyone could raise their hand if you're their agency. Okay. The only reason we're trying to get a count of that is because HWA has some updated requirements on overlapping proposals. We're trying to make sure that no one gets dinged for being an overlap. So if you have any questions about that, Laura will be here after the meeting. If you want to talk to her. Oh yeah, she's over in the corner. If you want to talk to her or shoot her an email, that would be great. Also, there's an opportunity to work with the Cydian team if you need help pulling state safety statistics to support your applications. Next, I wanted to share an initiative from AAA, the Auto Club. So I know prom may seem like it was long ago and far away for some of us, but as prom and graduation season approaches, AAA has the AAA Prom-IS program. It's a free program designed to help teens stay safe from the dangers of impaired and distracted driving during the 2 most exciting yet high-risk times of the school year. There's flyers on the back table if anyone wants more information on that, or if you want to take advantage of their resources. Next, you may remember that we had a few presentations on the Unified Planning Work Program, the UPWP. I want to just let you know that the UPWP has been reviewed by FDOT and FHWA, and we've received no corrective actions. So always fun to get that back from them, no corrective actions. MPO board will be taking action on that budget document at their next meeting at the beginning of May. And also, as part of our ongoing white paper research series, Metro Plan Orlando is currently wrapping up our second white paper, balancing speed management and emergency response times. As we plan for our next round of research for the white paper series, we're looking for input. We have a couple topics kind of in our hopper at the moment, but we wanted to reach out to y'all if there are any specific research topics that you're interested in hearing about. We've got a little survey that we're emailing out to y'all this afternoon. Rachel, send that out if you could. Take the survey. It's like 3 to 5 minutes, but it's just the easiest way for us to compile that list of topics if anyone's interested in in suggesting items for that research. And lastly, thank you to everyone who took the regional transportation survey. We just wrapped that up and we're compiling the results of that. So thank you to everyone who took it and everyone who blasted it out to your email networks and listservs. So thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Mike for the safety moment. Thanks.
Thank you, Slade, and good morning, everyone. Returning to the topic of the very first safety moment that we did a couple of years ago, and that is speed. As you'll recall, as we developed our Vision Zero plan, we developed this high injury network where we found that 47% of our fatal and serious crashes were on 2% of our road network. And speed was a major component of that. We found that the average posted speed for those roads was 43 miles per hour, and the average 85th percentile speed, 10 miles per hour higher than that. And of course, speed has ramifications for all road users, but especially for the most vulnerable ones. And we were able to look at our crash data and tie that to our MyoVision camera exposure data to get some idea of the impacts of speed. And so we looked at 36 corridors where we had these pedestrian video counts, applied 10 years of crash data to those. And we just looked at crashes where the pedestrian was crossing the main line, the main roadway, and looked at crashes where the motor vehicle was not turning. So to kind of get more of a feel for what would the flow through, the free flow speed be. And it looked at that irrespective of fault, whether it was the pedestrian or the motorist who failed to yield. So those are the types of crashes. And then looked at that, by posted speed. And, I expected to see kind of a ramp up, from 25 as you head up to 45. But as you can see here in the chart, there's actually a very sudden jump. And it stays fairly low at 35, up to 35 miles per hour. And then you see an 8-fold increase when you get up to 40 miles per hour. And then, even more when you add nighttime. And then when we looked at serious injury crashes, and here I've sort of compressed them, consolidated those speed levels because of the smaller numbers of crashes involved. And here we see a 12-fold increase in crash risk for those serious injury crashes. So to put it all together to kind of encapsulate it, to look at risk, if you're a pedestrian, your risk is 3 times greater at night than it is during the daytime for crashes overall, 8 times greater when it's 40 or plus miles per hour or higher. And then for serious, still 3 times greater on the nighttime issue, but now 12 times greater at 40 miles an hour and more. And what I would like to do is kind of reframe this sign here, not just 40, but anything higher than that. And let's think of this as a warning sign, not just a posted speed. And when we compare nighttime and the higher speed with daytime and lower speed, there's a more than 30 times greater risk for a pedestrian who's crossing the road. So whether you're the pedestrian or the driver, you see this sign that should tell you, act accordingly, that drivers might be coming faster than you expect. There might be pedestrians out there that you're going to need more time to stop for. So that concludes my safety moment. Be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mike. All right, next up is agency reports. This is an opportunity for our partner agencies to speak to the TAC. If any partner agencies want to speak here, please let Rachel or Slade know for future meetings. Today we have Ms. Kia Powell from FDOT.
Good morning and happy Friday. My name is Kaya Powell with FDOT, and I am subbing for Jonathan Scarf this morning. A couple of announcements to get started. We do have our 3rd annual Central Florida Safety Summit coming up on Friday, May 8th, and that's going to be in St. Cloud this year. Our Safety Summit is an annual event celebrating and spreading awareness of the efforts made by local governments, transportation organizations, law enforcement, advocacy groups, schools, and FDOT to improve the safety on our local roadways. This is a great event and time to get to spend together with the community. Rewards are given out, great stories are told, and it's a good day. We went last year and had a good time, so we look forward to seeing you there. If you're interested, tickets are $35 and we are selling those until they're sold out. So there's not an end date to our ticket selling. It's when they're gone, they will be gone. Next, April 20th through 24th, so wrapping up today, is National Work Zone Safety Awareness Week. And each year, FHWA recognizes National Work Zone Safety to remind drivers that road work is happening across our country on all different types of roads. The people working in those zones deserve to get home safely at the end of the day. Work zones are temporary, but the risks they present are real. We've had a lot of sharing of this awareness on social media this week, and information that's gone out to the public. So if you do see that, make sure you see it, you share it, and we keep spreading the word to be aware of our work zones. Then in closing, I would like to mention the tentative work program development cycle is kicking off because it's that time of year again, and the District 5 tentative work program for fiscal years 28 through 32 is now underway. There are statewide program planning workshops scheduled for April, May, June, and July. And as we start the 2026 development cycle, we are reviewing all program projects to ensure every required phase is included in your fiscal years 28 through 32 requests. That includes verifying that all supporting project phases, including environmental and permitting activities, utility coordination, post-design services, plan updates, and right-of-way monumentation are fully captured in program requests, whether new or adjusting programming. All programming updates or adjustments are going to be due by the end of May 2026. We have sent out emails for anyone that we need this information from. So make sure you keep an eye out. Lastly, you have your normal resources up at the top if you're looking for project updates or information on safety. It's there, and then my information is at the bottom if you have any questions that come up we can help you with. That concludes my announcements for today.
Any questions for Kaya? All right. Thank you. All right, up next, we have Rachel with the roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If members can please remember to turn on their microphone before responding with here or present, and then mute your microphone. Doig for Barden.
Present.
Boswell.
Here.
Casolero.
Present.
Castro. Cologne.
Present.
Cornelison. Crandell.
Here.
Delachey.
Here.
Ide.
Present.
Elliott Moore.
Present.
Falk.
Here.
Hamza.
Here.
Hardwick.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Horn.
Present.
Jimenez.
Present.
Lofaso.
Present.
Masterson.
Here.
Mendenhall. Mercado Vasquez.
Here.
Yeager for Nelson.
Present.
O'Keefe.
Here.
Owens. Perez. Price.
Here.
Porter for Pullum.
Here.
Ramos.
Here.
Burnett for Recchi.
Present.
Sanchez.
Present.
Sanders.
Here.
Sartorio.
Here.
Senerans.
Here.
Smith.
Present.
Story. Stoltz. Malone for Williams. Womack.
Present.
Yeargain.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the roll call. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Rachel. Next, we have our TAC and TISMO common presentations. We have one common presentation today. These are intended for the combined membership of TAC and TISMO and presented at the beginning of this meeting for that purpose. Members with any questions can stand the nameplate on end, and please remember to turn on your mic. Today we have Laura Bauk from Metro Plan Orlando with the Vision Zero Central Florida update.
All right, thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. Good to see all of you. I'm going to be providing a brief update on what we've been up to the last several months and what's coming up. I apologize in advance for those of you on the task force. None of this is new. Feel free to use the time to sign up for our next speaker series webinar. A little table setting, because I know we're always adding new TAC members and TISMO for those of you who stayed. A few years back, we were the recipient of a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that we utilized to develop a safety action plan that covers the 3-county region that's in our planning area. And we also worked with many of you and or other staff from your agencies to develop local safety action plans. So a lot of the efforts I'll be reporting on the remainder of this presentation are pivoting off of that work. And just a reminder for those who haven't visited in a while, or for those of you who are new, on our website, we now have our safety page or our safety hub, where we have a lot of the materials that we developed as a part of that effort, including the regional safety action plan, links to each of the local safety action plan, our countermeasure toolkits, a bunch of outreach information, including our kids activity book, elected officials guide, lots and lots of information. One of the resources that is the most popular on the website is our Vision Zero crash data dashboard. This includes crash data for 2018 through 2024, very interactive. You can sort of click through and look at the types of crashes you want and the areas that you want. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I encourage you to do so. So we ended up adopting the regional safety action plan in September of 2024. And about a year after that, we kicked off our first Vision Zero annual reporting effort. As a part of that evaluation, we were able to look at some updated crash trends. For the initial effort, we were looking at crash data between 2018 and 2022. By the time we started this annual reporting evaluation, the crashes for 2023 and 2024 were also available. So we were able to start taking a look at how some of those trends are moving since adoption. We also documented the progress that we've been able to make on the actions within the regional safety action plan. And we reached out to all of you, thanks to all who participated, to get some information on your progress on your local safety action plans. And that's encapsulated within the annual report. And then based on the actions that we've taken so far, some of those safety projects and initiatives that have been implemented over the last year or so, we started to take a look at those compared to the crash trends and identified some future areas of focus, things that we may want to shift a little bit within the regional plan or think about changing when we do our next major update for the plan. So as a part of this annual reporting, there are 2 deliverables. One is an executive summary PDF. It's about 16 pages, high color, very, very readable. I encourage you to check that out. And then a companion piece that goes with that is an online story map for those who want to jump into the data a little bit more, use some of this on interactive mapping that we have on the storyboard. So those will both be available within the next few weeks. Please stay tuned. We'll send out an email when they're available. We're also been working on a before and after evaluation approach that has included two elements that we think are really important. It's important for us to do before and after evaluation, specifically for safety projects is what we're focused on here. So we can better understand sort of the effects of these countermeasures that we're putting out there, understand how cost effective they are, how overall effective they are. And so as a part of this effort, we developed a scope template that we will be using as an agency as we're starting to do more before and after evaluations of safety projects. It's also intended to be a template for those of you who may want to ramp up your before and after evaluations, at least a starting place for some of those projects. A piece that goes with that is a matrix that we've developed that includes a ton of different performance metrics that you can consider dependent on the countermeasures that are part of your safety project or your project that includes safety elements. Also included in that matrix is some guidance on defining what the before period looks like, what the after period looks like, and some of the other elements that you might need to consider as you're developing your before and after evaluation. So the matrix is currently available on the website. You can get to it with the QR code that's on the screen now. And we're wrapping up the scope of services, and that will be available on the website soon. The next step for us in that effort is to do sort of a pilot of this new methodology we've developed. And we're looking at doing a before and after in each county. So I know there's already been some outreach for those of you in the counties to identify a project. So if you haven't already responded, please do. Or if anyone has ideas, you can try and get to me or Adriana after the meeting and let us know, and we'll consider those for the pilot. Another thing that's been keeping us busy, probably you all as well, with the increased usage of e-micromobility devices. We're seeing an uptick in crashes. This chart is for e-bikes specifically, where you can see the sort of increased trend, leading to a 54% increase from what we were seeing pre-COVID. So one of the ways that we are trying to address that is through education. And one of the things that we were doing is piloting an online e-bike training that's aimed at sort of teens, and looking at our data and some of the populations that might benefit the most from education, sort of middle school and high school, or the ones that popped out. And so that's what we're targeting with this pilot. The actual training itself was developed by ABEA, the American Bicycling Education Association. It's about 60 minutes long, online, self-directed, and includes a variety of modules covering everything from safety of the actual devices themselves to sort of on-device safety when you're out on the street with them. And so as a part of this effort, we developed pre and post quizzes so we can get a better feel for whether or not this is actually a good option for imparting that education to our youth. So we've been coordinating with each of the school districts here in the region to identify schools that might benefit and get us in contact with them. Osceola County has already done a few events, making this training available. We're almost over the line with Orange County, hopefully soon to get this out, hopefully this school year, and working to reach out to Seminole County to find someone to work with us on that as well. There is potential to sort of extend the pilot next year, but for this current one, we're going to be wrapping it up with the school year and doing some reporting based on the evaluations in those pre and post quizzes and get a better feel for whether this is a good way to get that education across. So stay tuned for our results and findings later on in the summer. As Slade mentioned earlier, we've sort of re-upped our white paper research program. Most recently, the most recent one that we released was back in the fall, and that was centered around e-micromobility safety. It was sort of a point in time look at where we were sort of within the region, state, and nationally in terms of legislation and local policies around those types of devices. Looking at where we are from like a usage and adoption standpoint, and then looking around the nation at different ways various communities are trying to address e-micromobility safety, both from a sort of design and engineering perspective. Sometimes it's policy, sometimes it's education, but just sort of a compendium of potential best practices for us all to consider as we're trying to get our hands around this new safety issue that we're facing. And then, as you mentioned earlier, our second white paper has been on balancing speed management, where we're putting those devices out to make sure that we're not negatively impacting emergency response times. Several of you were involved in the roundtables that we held to develop this paper, so thank you for your time. And we will be releasing that white paper in the next few weeks, so please stay tuned. And as Slade mentioned, please do respond to those surveys if you have ideas about some research topics you would like us to dive into. Free resources for you to get some research done, so let us know what you're interested in. And then what's keeping us busy now, actually, and will be for the next couple of years, is using the funds in our second Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that we were awarded and got an executed grant back in January. With this grant, we're going to be focusing on some additional outreach and education, safety focused, doing some additional data analytics for some things that sort of caught our eye as we were developing the initial safety action plans that we didn't have the time or resources to jump into. And now we have some additional resources, so we'll be doing some additional analytics there. And then the bulk of the funds will be on delivering road safety audits on corridors that are on the high injury network within the region. And then we'll be using all of those findings to wrap up and sort of document our findings as we lead into our next major update for our safety action plan. All of that grant work will be wrapped up by June of 28. And speaking of the RSAs, we have 7 that are in various stages of underway now. All have executed task agreements, and some have had their kickoff meetings. So we started off with several in Seminole County, Winter Park, Maitland, City of Orlando. If you don't see one from your jurisdiction listed, it's coming. We anticipate wrapping these up sort of late summer, early fall, depending on the corridor, and we'll likely be reaching out to you in midsummer to start with the scoping for the next round of road safety audits. We're hoping to deliver something on the order of 15 to 20 of those with the grant funding that we have. And then I don't need to say much about this because you all have flyers at your sheets already, but our next safety speaker series I think is going to be really interesting. It's on distracted driving. One of our speakers is going to be sort of digging into the psychology behind why it's so easy to get distracted. And then the other is going to be talking about the things that we can be thinking about as we're designing our roadways to make it less easy to be distracted. So If you can, please join us for that. And if you can't, you can get to our playlist anytime on the Metro Plan Orlando YouTube channel. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. You.
Hello, Laura.
Hello.
I promise it's an easy one.
Mhm.
Thank you for very thorough presentation. I'm excited about the progress report. And so when you were talking, I was thinking not too long ago, we would get our finalized crash data within a couple months after the new year. And for the past couple of years, it's taken at least 12 months to get the finalized crash data. I don't know, do you know anything of, should we expect that to remain 12 months? Do we think we'll get back to a quicker turnaround for finalizing crash data as we move forward?
I'm gonna throw that one to Mike. What do you think?
Well, I mean, from what I see on Signal 4, I mean, the crashes are all in, but then what gets approved from DHS&V as finalization, that's a whole different schedule. So I think that's more of a question for FDOT and DHS&V.
Sorry if that wasn't satisfying.
I have a question on the online training. So you said it is oriented towards teens. Would that material be appropriate still for young preteen, even younger? I just see more adoption of even younger kids on e-bikes. So catch them before the worst of habits are formed, I suppose.
We've been having that discussion quite a bit,
Yeah.
and it's my contention that the skills, the strategies that we're teaching to middle school is what's necessary for them, because they're getting into more complex environments. They're getting into collector and arterial roads at those ages where they're going to need that level of understanding. And so what's the kind of material that's in there is really not suited for the elementary school kids who, it's one thing to have them on an e-bike. It's another thing to have them on an e-bike on a collector and an arterial, right? And so I think they're understanding that there is a desire for that. I think it needs to be a different curriculum that still addresses the electric aspect specifically, but without getting into the levels of strategies and understanding of traffic movement that they're really not ready for.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I will note that we had developed as one of the demonstrations we did for the Safe Streets, the first grant in Orange County, we did the bike in a box, which was geared towards sort of traditional bikes, but we've been having a lot of discussions about how we can maybe marry the two or adjust one so that it addresses e-bikes as well, because that one is geared towards elementary school students. So the education is needed across the board, and we're continuing to think about it.
Great. Thank you. Yes.
Morning, Laura. Bruce Doig, City of Altamont. Is the e-bike online training available for us or maybe city staff to go
Do we have
through?
enough codes to share?
Yeah, I can send you a coupon. Anyone who's interested, I can send you a coupon code so you can review that.
Yeah, there's interest in the city. More and more e-bikes are commuting and this and that, and we want to. It sounds like it's a good thing.
Yeah. So the organization, American Bicycling Education Association, will work with school boards, local governments, from standpoint of providing that program. They'll come up with arrangements as to how that can happen. It works a little better for schools because that's kind of more of a captive audience. But yeah, first step is getting familiar with it.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Now we're on to public comments for our action items. We will now hear public comments on the action items. We ask that you provide your name and address for the record, and please hold your comments to 2 minutes or less. If any members of the public wish to comment and are joining us virtually, please use the raise hand function and you will be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad We'll send you a prompt to unmute your mic. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
No hands raised.
All right. Do we have any members of the public attending in person that wish to make a public comment?
No comments received.
All right. And were there any written comments that were submitted before the meeting?
None were received.
Okay, cool. Moving on to our action items. Please remember to use your microphone and state your last name when making a motion or a second. First up, the February 27th, 2026 meeting minutes. The full meeting minutes are included in section 1 of the agenda packets. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve minutes, Centerman's.
Do we have a second?
Second, Sanders.
Thank you. All right. Any discussion on the motion? See none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Right, motion passes. Next up is an amendment to the 2026-2030 Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP. Natalia Barber can tell us more about that, and there is more information in section 2 of the agenda packets. Natalia.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. I have 5 amendments for you. The first 2 relate to railroad projects. The first one is an addition of $230,000 in federal funds for railroad and utilities work in fiscal year 2026. The second one is addition of $142,000 also in federal funds for railroad and utilities work, and it includes surface rehab at crossing on Eunice Avenue. And the first one is signal upgrades at Silver Star Road. The next 3 relate to links, and the first one is an addition of $850,000 in transit infrastructure grant funds for Links Bus Shelter Program Project in fiscal year 2026. Then $500,000 in transit infrastructure funds for bus acquisition project, same fiscal year. And the last one is addition of $250,000 in transit infrastructure grant funds for digital signage program, same fiscal year. If there are no questions, I'm asking for your recommendation of approval to the TIP 2026-30 as presented to you today.
Move approval, Stoltz.
Second, Smith.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Natalia. All right, and the next and final action item we have is the approval of the 2026 Call for Projects Working Group Recommendations. There's more information in section 3 of the agenda packet. But as the TAC chair, I have the report for our working group. Do you want me to go to the lectern or stand here? Okay.
There's no like slides or anything.
All right, so here we go. So the Call for Projects Working Group met on Friday, March 6th to review the candidate project applications that were considered for this year's 2026 Off-System High Injury Network Safety Improvements Program. 14 project applications were reviewed by the working group members and evaluated using comparative criteria that focused on safety recommendations, the local agency's priority level of the project, as indicated on their application, and anticipated project programming balance for the region. After a thorough review and discussion of the candidate projects, the working group ranked the top priority projects and recommended that these projects be included in the 2026 prioritized project list. I've said the word project a lot in 2 sentences. The first 7 projects are ranked in order of priority. The remaining projects are shown on the list as unranked projects, as they are unlikely to be programmed within the next calendar year. The Call for Projects Working Group's recommendations are shown in section 3 of our agenda packets. The working group recommendations are presented today as an action item for this TAC. If approved, the ranked projects will be incorporated into an annual Metro Plan Orlando prioritized project list update with a preview of the updated PPL to be available in May of this year. Would any of the working group members like to comment on the endeavor, the projects that we had before us, our process? No? It's okay.
I have a question.
All right.
So the other projects on the list after 7, they're saying they're just here, but they're not going to go into PPL. Is that how I understand that correctly? So that means if we have that project there, does that mean we have to reapply next year with it? Um,
Yeah, so that is something we talked about, the reapplication fees, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think it's kind of speak to, I'll probably address some of the other questions that might be on the tip of your tongue. But to enter Shaz, yeah, as the group met, and they looked at all the different projects, looking at the monies that we have available based on the 2050 plans policy for safety project off the high injury network, or excuse me, on the high injury network. This would allow us to kind of work for a few years, fiscal 31, 32, 33 potentially, but we didn't want to go through and rank the whole list to then just kind of come back in 2 years and re-rank it again. So the hope is, we take action here today, incorporate that into our prioritized project list. Like, this is a new category basically from the MTP that's going to fit into the new prioritized project list. And then we'll start initiating kind of project intake and programming with that. Every year through our prioritization process, we're going to come back to the group, probably later this year, December, early in the process, and say, hey, this is where we're at. This is what we were able to accomplish. These are the priorities as they stand today. Do we need to change them? And it might say, no, looks good as is, 7, or, an agency may say, hey, I didn't submit one last year. I have, a safety need that needs to be addressed and considered by the group. And then that's where the technical advisory committee has that latitude to kind of re-explore that. So we didn't want to over prioritize, knowing that some jurisdictions didn't submit for one reason or another, but also that we want to make sure that the safety projects are relevant in a time that they can actually be implemented. So hope that answers your question and maybe gives some insights into the
so this is
process.
3 years or so of kind of projects is how you were looking at it at different stages of funding kind of thing. Because I was trying to remember the funding amount.
It's about $3 million a year beginning in
31.
Okay. So we're hoping to prime, project engineering design, while also kind of making sure we're not over priming the construction side. So we make sure we're not designing too far in advance. But again, the hope is to come back annually, and the group can give it a blessing or say, hey, we need to reopen that, redo another call for projects. But we had so many and so limited funds that we decided just to kind of only program a partial portion of the list. But that gives us as staff and our board enough latitude to work with DOT on intake over the next couple of years.
Was this all the projects or were there more than this?
I believe that was the full list.
This is the full list. Okay.
Correct.
I didn't know. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, also the full list is on your screen in front of you if you want to take a look on there. It's in the full agenda.
If you go to the full agenda, you can tap the screen in the little 3-dot menu in the top right corner and get bookmarks and then jump on down to call for projects. Or if you go to the agenda folder, there is a separate item in there just for this. Page 23 is where it sits in the agenda itself. Any other questions from the TAC regarding the process of the projects?
Was there a score? Was there a score associated with these? Is that how you got them in this order, or was there something technical with the score? Or
I don't recall.
kind of more just like we used to do it, just kind of hammered it out.
So it's a blend of the two, to be honest with you. And that's the performance-based planning process. It allows us, to kind of look at the data, make sure that we're considering, our kind of need, but also impact. But as there's other circumstances, other factors that needs to be considered as we're, advancing projects, readiness, circumstance, but also kind of balancing some of our, fair share allocations across the region as well. So it wasn't as data prescriptive as it's been, but I think that was intentional. It allowed us to look at it comprehensively, but again, put the final decision back into kind of human decision-making processes.
Yeah, to build on the numbers, the quantitative kind of was the starting point for the conversation, but it would have been a lot of like City of Orlando, and that was it. If it was so taking the regional perspective.
Yep.
That was. And kudos to the City of Orlando for, being part of that and recognizing. Yes. Any other questions on this effort? All right. So then, unless there's any more questions, there aren't. We are seeking a motion for recommendation of approval of the recommended projects for the 2026 off-system high injury network safety improvements.
Shad Smith, I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second, Sanders.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all. There are no TAC only presentations today. General information can be found in section 4 of the agenda packet. Upcoming meetings, the next TAC is held in person on Friday, May 29th, 2026. The next Metro Plan Orlando Board meeting is held in person on Wednesday, May 13th at 9 a.m. Of course, the full list of meetings is in our agenda. Now we're up for member comments and other business. Are there any comments from committee members? Share?
I do have one, not a member, but I do have one kind of an additional announcement. So just so you're all aware, it is TIP and PPL season yet again. At our next meeting and our next committee cycle, we'll be bringing the preview of the PPL and the TIP to present to you all. Generally, that involves a round of feedback, looking for feedback from you all. Just prefacing that because we're going to have a kind of a tight turnaround time for that review. So when we send out the agenda packets about a week before the meeting, we ask that you start looking through those documents at that time. We'll send out reminders closer to then, but just wanted to give you that heads up, just so we can get those comments incorporated for the final adoption committee cycle in June and July. Also, following the 2050 MTP adoption, these two documents have gone through a bit of a refresh, so they look a little bit different. So just wanted to give you heads up on all of that, those upcoming timelines. Thanks.
Any other member comments?
Going on right now at City Hall Plaza, just down the block, is Earth Day Workday with the City of Orlando. So if you want to check out some resources from City of Orlando, sustainability and OUC, there's some good freebies over there too. And we've got a table for engagement for Vision Zero and our bike plan update. So enjoy the nice weather outside.
Indeed. Any more comments? I'll kind of have a call back to the Safe Streets for All piece that Slade mentioned in terms of sharing and overlapping projects, giving a regional user links being of our bicycle pedestrian infrastructure for our passengers to get on the bus. If you have a project, please let us know. We'd love to offer a letter of support where it's relative and appropriate for our services in your project. Just greater coordination. I think when Castleberry got their award, we wrote a letter, kind of highlighted, the boardings and alightings at the stops and the frequency of services there. So if we can be of help in any regard that way, we'd love to. And also share what we're seeing in terms of some of our safety and accessibility elements in those roadways. So maybe we can expand the project. No other comments from me. No others from the group. Final public comment section of our meeting today. We'll now hear public comments on all business. We ask that you provide your name and address for the record. Please hold your comments at 2 minutes or less. If any members of the public wish to comment and are joining us virtually, please use the raise hand function and you will be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad and we'll send you a prompt to unmute your mic. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
No hands raised online.
All right. Do we have any members of the public attending in person that wish to make a public comment?
No comments received.
Okay. And are there any written comments that were submitted before the meeting?
None were received.
All right. Well, no other business. We're going to adjourn today's meeting at 10:45.